And that's the way we do it. Pop in, say hi. If you've never come into one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. And this is the first of two live shows that I have here on YouTube. I have my show, What's My Good Cheer, that I do Monday to Friday. Saturdays I spend it on Instagram, and well, I haven't missed yet, and I suspect I'm going to poop out or I'm going to step over myself like I do every Sunday coming into my life. It's always my intent. I like to say it's my intent to be here at 7:30 on the dot. And I always think I'm allowing myself lots of time to get these little details like the dishes, or what I was doing just now is my air conditioning broke down this week. So I don't get paid until Friday. So we're just going to use our fans until Friday. It's not super hot right now, and grateful at this moment it is raining, so the temperature has gone down quite a bit. It's only 16 Celsius, not quite sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but right, that air conditioner means I gotta keep that cat. I don't want that stuff steaming up my house and stinking up my house, right? And I'm grateful I don't have one of those cats that eat soft cat food, so I don't have a stinky cat. But right, she does pee a lot because I think she is a little bit pre-diabetic. She's a big cat, and she does drink quite a bit of water. Hello, Owen. Hello, Andrew. How's your guys' week been going? Let me know how your week has been going. But so we had the most amazing week, actually, and I was going to say this is the first show, Chatters Live. I've had this live show, and I've had this show going on. Oh my goodness! Shortly after I started my channel, I started doing the live shows. I suspect I've been doing live shows here on YouTube for 8 or 9 years, I think. And I know, 8 or 9 years. But on Sundays, always just the one day on Sundays. And it was a day that we can actually be just kind of hang out together, me included, in the conversations. And you'll find me backtracking on the conversations as we move along, because as people pop into the live, and as the conversation gets going, I sometimes do have to backtrack. I get into those yappy things, and then I have to say, okay, Cindy, slow it down, have a cup of coffee. The one thing about Sunday is I'm now shut down in that grounding and in that energy that I disperse out in that gratitude that I have for the amazing job that helps to alleviate a lot of those stresses that could easily have been in my life, like worrying about the roof over my head. And there was a time, right? I did worry quite a bit about the roof over my head. But I have to take accountability for that, because I made a bad situation worse by just having bad financial habits, and having what do you call that when you have flashy eye syndrome, when things sparkle and your eyes go whoa. That was how I was with the video lottery terminals and stuff, and I got hooked on that. And that took me away from being also responsible in my finances, because I was constantly juggling my finances to either hide or cover up the problem that I had, right? Or to, right, stay on top of things a little bit, so that I wouldn't make a total mess of my life. But you can't help it when you're in those kind of addictions, especially addictions when it comes to that money, that vital sense of security, right? Because I do have a roof over my head and I didn't care about the roof over my head. That next win was going to cover everything. I won't have to worry about anything. All I need is one win. I was such a silly girl. So, I can't blame my family and I can't blame school. I wasn't a very good student. And, in my family, education, it seemed to me, was not very important, right? It wasn't, my parents didn't do the parent teacher meetings. They didn't really care. I never really got in trouble if my report card was bad, and report card was never good. I had 1 year there where I had a teacher invest in me. And she happened to be the gym teacher and my English teacher. And she took it upon herself to kind of make me her project that year. I never discussed anything about what was going on at home. She knew that there were problems, but she didn't know what those problems were or how bad it was and how it was affecting me and stuff. But she took an interest in me, and finally, somebody thought maybe I was worth investing a little bit of effort into, maybe, right, figuring out what was wrong, right? It's funny, some of the things that we digest. But I did really, 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 really well that year. But for the most part, I was not a good student, and so I wouldn't have learned finances in school at all. My dad was also a compulsive gambler. It seemed to me that he was always juggling. We were always on, the rice diet for the month, or the pasta diet for the month, or raiding the gardens in the back alleys for a month, and we'd be sent off to get pears and peaches and cherries, and my mother blackberries. We go along the train tracks with our ice cream pails and grab blackberries, or go down to Stanley Park and get the huckleberries. I don't know if any of you guys know what huckleberries are. We're going to send some good cheer. I live behind a fire station. We're just going to send some good cheer and make sure that possibly that little bit of wish that it is a false alarm actually, right, comes into fruition and actually does become a false alarm, and they end up at the station really, really fast. Okay, this week helped pack, sort, recycle, discard things as my whole workplace is being moved up to another floor because of the renovation work coming up. Oh, okay. Andrew, so will it be a nicer surrounding for you if you're going up one floor? You might have a better landscape if you look out the windows. It might be nice if there was you were amongst the tree branches and stuff as you're doing your work. You can kind of, I don't know. I love staring out at the window when I'm doing my thing, when I'm sitting at home. I'm doing my live show, and sporadically every once in a while the clouds burst. It's going to rain all night tonight, but right now it's stopped. But that might only stop for a couple of minutes, and it will downpour, and it's supposed to be thunderstorms and everything tonight, right? And I can see that everything is clouds, but there are some spots that are real clouds. I don't see any lightning. It's still daylight. It's still daylight going on here, right? Remember what it was like last week with the sun streaming in the window? It's not like that today. It's actually quite quite perfect. Funny how things work out, right? Oh, what was I going to say about the education? And I wouldn't have learned it at home, like I said, because my parents didn't seem to care so much about the education and whether or not we carried on in our education. My dad seemed very, very proud when I did graduate from high school. But like I said, he never, and he did come to my graduation. Mom and dad both came to my graduation, and they made it a very big thing too. Um, Andrew says, I had some weird, bad gym teachers. I'm glad you had one, Cindy, that took an interest in you. If I had no, the thing is with that teacher, she changed the way I felt about myself. It might have only been a short span. She was my gym teacher. I always failed gym. I was in grade 10 and I was still taking grade 8 gym, and you had to take grade 9 gym in order to not have to take gym anymore. I couldn't even make it to grade 9 gym. They failed me every single year. But then I went into a different English class, and it turned out the English teacher was the gym teacher, and she would get us to read these novels, paperback novels, and she'd give each one of us a different one, and she would make us stand up in front of the class and read it, but read it in character. So if it was a female or a male or the situation, she wanted us to read into the situation, and I guess I did a really good job because it caught her attention, right? And then she started like checking in about my writing skills, my curiosity, and my imagination. And she suggested to me the next year that I should try and do her gym class. Right? I knew she was trying to mentor me because just of the special interest and the special way she was kind of taking an interest and finding creative ways to help me understand, to help me pay attention in class, right? That ADHD, right? That little bit of hypervigilance in our security and our safety. I was looking out for spitballs, right? Or somebody smacking me upside the head or saying something mean to me that would hurt my feelings. I got a good lesson in how sensitive I am this week. I always knew I was very sensitive because I know how I get triggered when my feelings are hurt, or I feel I've been disrespected, or right, or because I'm highly sensitive and empathic, like I feel intent, like the way people look at me, talk to me, or talk to others in my presence. Like I read into all of that, right? And I am very, very sensitive, but sometimes, in my sensitivity, I can munch on that. I can feel an intent, but I can turn a small intent, which might have been somebody trying to avoid something uncomfortable themselves, and I can read something deeper into that. Like, right? I don't always get the deepness in it, but I feel that somebody's done something on purpose, either to get me to think a certain way, or to feel a certain way, or to act a certain way. Like, right? It's just naturally built into me, and it's naturally built in to a lot of people, right? But because we don't go back to our past and stuff, and because we don't recognize some of these problems that interfere in our lives, that we don't recognize them, right? We don't think about them, right? We don't think about when somebody comes up to us and yells in our face, and how we get, oh, like this, right? And right, we just think, oh my goodness, there's something wrong with me, or I've done something wrong, or how can I, right? How can I make it better? How can I be the peacekeeper? How can we smooth this over? How can I get them to understand? And being highly sensitive and empath, we tend to over explain ourselves because, right, quite often as the empath and as the highly sensitive, that all comes from trauma. And a lot of it is that scapegoating and right. A lot of that in that, what did they used to call it in the 1700s when the king would always have one. And then whenever the king did something bad or made a mistake or something, he would have, it was like the Joker whipping boy, right? And lots of us are, right? And I was going to say we're made to hold on to things, but being sensitives, we usually are grabbing for those things in the process of somebody handing it over to us, right? Yeah, no, I was thinking whipping boy. I remember a whipping boy. I think it was from the 16th and 17th century that the kings and the emperors, they always like to have one, so that way, right, if they made a boo-boo or if they hurt somebody's feelings, right? But the whipping boy was a little bit different because the whipping boy was actually part of the royal court. So if he's not getting his whipping, if he isn't being demoralized and chastised and punished, right? He actually gets to live a pretty decent life in the king's court, right? Yeah, a little bit of information there, right? I don't always get it right, but it's only in conversation. I never say that I'm an expert. I just always say these are my interests, and just like everybody else, I pick my interests up in the information in that interest through different sources, right? And that's not to take away the responsibility of being responsible for what I yap about, right? But also making clear that I am not the expert, but I'm not shying away from interesting conversations either. Okay. Hello, Kathy. I hope everybody's having an amazing week. Like I said, I recognize this week how sensitive I am, and how much I do appreciate those people who do recognize my sensitivity, and that when I'm not having a good day or if I'm not having a good moment, that I have ways of expressing myself, not in an unkind way, not those side eyes or treating anybody badly in any way, but being able to get it out of my system by, when one of my regulars came in and, right, she's got a cup of coffee and a donut for me on the weekend. And they're just like, right? Like, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. And it wasn't even the worst of times. It was just in my own mind feeling something out, but reading more into it than what it needed to be in my hypersensitivity, right? In that being oversensitive, that I can be a little bit of a watchdog for myself. And that's a good thing, because you see what you're going to trip on the sidewalk in front of you, unless you're staring off at a beautiful landscape, which is quite possible with me, right? Yeah, I'm just staring out because it just started the heavy rain again. I just love heavy rainy days, and it's nice too because it is cooling off a little bit. I'm struggling without an air conditioner this week on payday. It wasn't part of my budget. I was supposed to pay. I don't know if I was telling you guys, I'm going to a place called in September called Herkimer, New York. It's a town about 2.5 hours, 3 hours the way I drive from Toronto. I'm going to be in the Toronto area in September. And, I can't, right? If I'm only going to be 3 hours away, I have to take that opportunity to try for the Herkimers. The Herkimers are, I love the amethyst. I do. And I'm going amethyst digging in September too, on the same trip on the way there. But I'm going to cross the border. And I'm going to spend 2 days in Herkimer, New York, in a Herkimer mine that's on a gentleman's property. He has thousands of acres or hectares of land, and he lets people get memberships every year. And he charges $125 for the membership, but in that membership, you get to go. He'll take you up the mountain in his quad and he'll dump you there in the morning and he'll come and get you at nighttime. And you get to go dig holes in his mountain looking for Herkimer diamonds. And they could be double terminated and they can get like this big, right? And I get to keep whatever I find for that $125. And not only that, you guys, you could say that's expensive, but it's one special thing that I'm going to splurge on, right? To make my trip extra special is that crossing the border, and I'm going to come home through the States, right? But I'm going to cross the border and I'm going to go to Herkimer, New York, and I'm going to dig for Herkimer diamonds. And this gentleman's farm will let me camp there. So I'm going to spend 2 days there, and I'll be roaming his forests and his fields and digging for Herkimer diamonds. Right? I'm going to do 1 day in the up in the mountains where he takes you up in his side by side or his quad, and then I'm going to do 1 day where I'm just going to sift through tailings, and that's going to be my one trip. It's called Mohawk Herkimer Mine. So if anybody wants to go to their website, check it out. Well, I'm doing a couple of splurges, hopefully, as they become solid in part of the itinerary. I'll let you guys know. I've already been working on my campgrounds because I do want to spend a couple of days in the area of Bancroft, Ontario, where there are a bunch of old abandoned silver mines and gold mines, you guys. So I'm going to be exploring a couple of, at least, there's lots of them, but at least two of them. I'm going to explore these abandoned mineral mines, but at the same time, I'm going to be looking for their bottle dumps, right? Because in the late 1800s, they would have had the most amazing garbage dumps. So I'm going to take my metal detector with me. So that's going to take my metal detector, and I'm going to have my poker rod anyway for when I'm rock hounding. So I'll be able to dig through the ground and spot the clanking of the broken glass and the bottles and stuff. So I'm going to hopefully dig into some old bottle digging dumps in these mines. I know, Kathy, you're going to wish you went on this trip with me. Oh, it's going to be amazing. But not only that, these mines, they were going after the gold and they were going after the silver. They weren't going after the crystals. And there are so many different kinds of crystals and minerals and great rock hounding there. So I'm also going to be doing these couple of mines. It's not the only place I'll be rock hounding. I'll be doing all the right because they're building new roads and highways in northern Ontario. I'm going to be going up and down these rural roads. I'm going to stay in, I think, two different provincial parks on the way to the Bancroft area, and then I think I'll do the maybe go through and stay in Toronto for a night before I start heading home, but I'll be heading home slowly through the states, crossing over the border. Like I said, I want to spend 2 days in Herkimer, New York, digging for Herkimer diamonds, right? So you guys can see, like, I'm already doing the planning The vehicle for the whole trip is already paid for, you guys. It's already right, and I'm not allowed to touch that money. My sister, when we're ready to go get the vehicle, we're just gonna right. The business is all taken care of there. All I need is my gas money and my fun money. Even I'm not taking any of my Tim Hortons points card. I've been saving my points and already I've got 2 free coffees for my trip and it's only the beginning of June. So I imagine that I'm going to get quite a few free coffees with all the points that I have going across Canada anyway. I it's different Tim Hortons coffee in the States. I tried to go to Tim Hortons for a cup of coffee and it wasn't the Tim Hortons coffee that I know. But I'll be taking bags of McDonald's coffee because I like the McDonald's roast if I'm making it for myself. So I'll be taking that myself. There's also an eternal flame, you guys, somewheres in Ontario. I haven't tracked it down. Supposedly this flame has been burning for thousands of years in between some rocks on a waterfall, and I don't know if it's gases or what it is. You really have to trek in it. I watched a video where some guy was doing that adventure, and if I have to, I will contact him and see if he'll cough up, because I'm sure if it's an eternal flame and it's natural and is burning out of the rocks out of natural gas, I'm sure the people of the area are talking about it. And there are other adventure videos on it. So I don't think it'll be too hard for me to track it down. But that's part of planning my trip, is finding these adventures and planning these adventures, right? And I'll be doing lots of rock hounding up and down the highways and the roads as I go. I'm gonna have an amazing trip. And then I'm coming home through I'm going to go to Hamilton, and then I'm going to cross over into the States, and I'm going to go to Herkimer, and then I'm going to park in a provincial park somewheres on the outskirts of Detroit, and I'll stay there overnight so that I can get into the city in the daylight. And I won't stop the car. Like, I'll stop the car to fill the gas tank up. I'll stay in my car. I don't know how bad it is in Detroit anymore. I heard people are redoing all those abandoned farm or abandoned homes and stuff. They're doing them up, that people are able to buy them very inexpensively, and that Detroit is getting better. But just to see it, I always wanted to go to Detroit, and right, it's only going to be about an hour drive off route. So for an hour off route, I can right. I This is a trip that I do once a year, and none of this is down packed. I'm still in the research stage, and also my campsites that I have chosen. Yes, I've chosen my beautiful, beautiful campsites, right? A couple of them are close to the water, but surrounded by trees. I don't want to be in open air around the lakes because I am going in September, and I remembered that I parked overnight in Quantico Park in Ontario, and I picked a spot because it was the middle of the night and I couldn't see, and it was right beside the water, and I thought, oh, it'll be nice to listen to the breeze and stuff. Oh, it was so cold. It was so cold, you guys. So I learned my lesson. I will at very least, right, be camping inside the trees and have a little bit of a windbreaker, but I still want to be close to the water, or at the very least surrounded by what feels like mother nature. And boy, did I pick some nice camping spots, you guys. Big ones too. Ontario has such big campsites, right? Manitoba, you have to go way north to find those nice big campsites. In the parks that are close, they're very popular. Manitobans are right. We love our cottages here. We love, because it's so hot. We have such extremes, and it's so cold in the wintertime, that we really love and thrive in the summertime and we all love the lake and the cottages and the bush, and right, we love that rural, right? And we all do. I think we all do, and I think even people that are immigrating here, we're getting a lot of immigration going on. We take care of those families. At my job, they come in looking for furniture and clothes and household goods, and they're such lovely people, and they become regular customers too. So I'm really glad that, right from the start, that we've treated them really well and been very welcoming, and that's a little bit of our part too, right? But yeah, that's the beginning. Like, so you guys see, I'm already on it. But those dates are not firm, but they have to be firm by the middle of July, because that's when I'm planning on paying for all my campsites, which are not going to, well, they're going to be cheap. I mean, compared to if I was staying in a hotel, but I wouldn't want to stay in a hotel. I wouldn't want to stay in a motel. I want to be with Mother Nature. This is right. This is my trip, and you guys know what kind of trips that I like to take, and I'm having a really enjoyable time. And I have to say, this week, being able to delve into a little bit of that work, that little bit of planning and figuring out the campsites and the parks that I want to be at, and watching YouTube videos of the different creators that live in that area who are rock hounds and right go for the crystals themselves. I want to make sure that I have lots of crystal when I come home. I like to give it to my friends and family, and I like to give my previous adventures, and I think I have four adventure bowls in the moment. I think I started doing the adventure bowls 4 or 5 years ago. But I've got a lot of when I say adventure bowls, this is one right here. It's a big long one. You can't really see it, but if you zoom it up, open bigger, you'll be able to see that it's a big bowl, and it's acorns, and it's softened rock from the riverbeds, that have been tumbling in the riverbeds. It's fossils that I pick up. It's my amethyst. It's rocks that I pick up on the side of the road, right? Right. I love my mother nature. I did the silliest thing this week, you guys. I don't know. You can tell me if you think it's silly. But like I said, we got thunderstorms and heavy rain going on right now. And it's been like this for a few days. And I was going to work, and it was just downpouring. Like, the streets were flooding. It was just downpouring really hard. And just like when I was a little kid, and it's funny that I'm saying it again because another downpour is coming down right this second. It's starting again. Um, the sidewalks were flooding, and as I was walking down the block to go to work, right, I saw a worm, and it was underneath the water, and it was trying to cross the sidewalk, but it couldn't even breathe because it was under the water on the sidewalk, and it didn't matter if it got to the other side, because it was just a puddle and a little trench there that he would have instantly drowned too. So just like when I was a little kid, right, I'm trying to scoop the worm into my hand and find it a dry spot, and there was a fence with some bushes up against the fence, so I just went underneath and I dropped it on the ground underneath the bush, knowing it wasn't going to get wet and that it would eventually get itself burrowed back into the ground where it wasn't going to drown. Like worms and slugs, they come out of the ground when it gets really heavy rain, because they'll drown if they stay in the ground, right? So they have to stay on top of the grass. But sometimes, right, because they don't see so well, that they end up on the sidewalks and stuff. So anyway, I took care of this worm. I didn't even get 20 feet. And there was another one, and I took one more foot in front of me, and I turned around and I scooped up the other worm that was on the sidewalk, drowning, of course. And then I was close to work at that point, so I just put it up against the side of my building, which had some tall grass, and the rain wasn't really pounding in that area, so I knew it would be okay. So I saved two. I saved two worms, but it was very reminiscent of when I was a child. In grade school. I think all every year, even through high school and stuff. When I'd go to school, and I lived in Vancouver, and it rained almost every day in Vancouver. It'd be sunny, and it would be raining, and it would sun, rain, sun, rain, sun, rain, and it would be like that all day, every day. And I used to do that and the slugs are gross. I would do that with the slugs too. And the slugs, I don't know if you guys have ever seen slugs, but they're like this big, and they could get to be like that wide, and they're all different color designs, like a butterfly, but they got fur like caterpillars, right? And they slime when they move. They're like slimy, right? And they leave these trails of like snot behind them, and they got lots of legs, and they're really yucky to pick up, right? They're like picking up rotten sausages, all limp and right? And yet I would pick those things up and save the slugs too. I would even save the snails, and the snails were worse than all of them because the snails stank. The other ones didn't stink, but snails, oh my goodness, snails are certainly stinky, that's for sure. Okay, let's come into the comments here. Andrew says, oh, let me see if maybe I have to go back even further than that. Oh, okay, we're going back. We're going from the first to the fourth floor. I'll have a view of the other buildings on the first floor. I looked out on a nice courtyard. I'm good with either view. You're accommodating, Andrew. Right? But we always knew that you were accommodating. It's an amazing trait. It's a trait that we all need to practice, right? Kindness and being accommodating. Sometimes you're being accommodating, but you're not doing it because you want to, but you're doing it because it's the right thing to do. It's not making a big deal over something, right? That will just be a headache for somebody else. And if it's not a big headache for you, like Andrew says, he doesn't care about the view's very important to me. When I almost ended up homeless, I was so worried about not having a view, not connecting with Mother Nature. I would have made sure I was outside every single day. But yeah, not to have a view, and then to be able to come into this little apartment here and have a big picture window, that it's a different view because the old apartment was looking down a big tunnel of elm trees, and everything was green. But this is a nice view too because I see all the skyscrapers downtown. I see the legislative building is right in front of me. Also, I do have some few street trees here. A little bit worried for the Dutch elm because I can see on two trees that there are some dead branches on the top. So if they get marked, they put a big fluorescent dot on the trees that have got Dutch elm disease, and then they come down. They come down in, I think, the fall after they lose all their leaves. Right, it helps to eliminate the spread of the beetles that are right infesting these trees. And then they bring the saw machine, like the machine that turns things into sawdust. They bring that, and they do that right on the spot. They totally dispose of the tree, and they even use a stump killer to kill the stump of the tree, uh, just so that the beetles don't have any foothold to them. Yeah, but I do appreciate my big picture window a lot. um I think gym classes should be dropped as mandatory classes. They never did me any good except for the one quarter in which we had sex education in the ninth grade. Oh, okay. Yeah, we had courses, family studies. The teacher didn't like me in social studies because she made us do projects, and I always picked interesting projects, and because it was sex education, she didn't like me, and she made it quite apparent that she didn't like me, and so she wanted us to do some kind of sex education presentation and research project. So I decided, and she was pretty ancient, this woman. I picked the subject of sex and the old person. That was the name of my, and I and she knew I was directing the whole thing at her, right? I'm not sure if any of the other students recognized that at all, but I'm sure they were embarrassed for her because, right, I did a fantastic job, and the woman failed me too. After promising me if I did a good job, she would pass me in the course, but just out of vindictiveness, just because she could, she failed me. She failed me that year in family studies. I remember that now. I never gave it any thought before, but I remembered that. I wasn't resentful, only because, I knew that that was going to pinch her a little bit, but she pinched me, and I wasn't one for turning the other cheek, and I wanted to teach her a lesson, right? So I'm sure the next person, she decided that she was going to be the whipping boy, right? And there was no reward in that, so it was probably more the scapegoat, right? That she would be a little bit more wiser and a little bit smarter in the topics that they give that student leeway to, in their own imagination, maybe do a payback little bit of payback in that. Yeah, but that teacher that I had, she was a gym teacher, and she did gymnastics, and she put me on the balancing bar, and she got me to do the backflips, and I got A's every report card. It was the first time ever in school, and in PE, physical education, to boot. I got A's in that. I think she even gave me an A plus on one of those terms. And at the same time, she encouraged me so much. I think I was about 40 pounds overweight, that I lost that 40 pounds that year. She got me to join the drama club, which helped me in expressing myself in front of large groups. Mind you, she was already doing that with me in her English class by having me stand up and present to the class. And small groups were scarier than the big groups because, the small groups, you can see their eyes, you can discern what's going on in their face and in their thoughts just by taking a look at them. And sometimes they know you're looking at them, right? So they'll make those faces purposely, even if you think you are absolutely amazing. I couldn't win for losing in school, not for the life of me. Um, Hello, William. Hello, William. Yeah, Kathy, I'm really enjoying the planning of it too. And the thing is about the planning, when things aren't going the way I'd like them or as fast as I want them to, or when I don't have a, how is that going to happen? I know it's going to happen, but how is that going to happen? Right? And that curious mind of mine is like going, right? How is that going to happen? It's going to happen that way. Is it going to happen that way? Or maybe I can make it happen this way. Right? And I get totally involved in it in that manner. But we could drive ourselves a little bit batty, and it is nice to have these projects to do in between, right? The taking in the lessons, putting a roof over my head, right? Showing up in my platforms. Yeah, I'm having a good time with it. Oh, and plus those cards too. I think I know the production company that I want to go with, the publishers for my cards. They do cards for other creators, and they're very lovely cards. But because mine are shadow work cards, right? That I want a little bit different design, nothing dark or scary or anything like that. but I want it to show the transitions of where you start, right? The work and where you can manage if you start pushing through, and then right where you can be, if you put in the work, if you put in the effort. So I want to kind of have a transition on, and I'm not sure if the design that I'm kind of thinking in my head, which is not super detailed, but it's super specific, it would, if it would fit in with the cards that they do for other creators, because I think they all kind of have maybe not a similar style, where one would be doing flowers on the cover and another one would do hearts and stuff like that, right? I need specific in what I'm doing. So I've got that to do, a little bit of research and some emails, and right, figuring out the cost, or whether it would be easier for me to just take a cut of the cards and let them make the cards. I'm not even sure if they offer that. I think it'd probably be a good idea if they did, if they're the publisher anyway and they're printing them off anyway, that we could just drum up the orders, and they can just mail them off even from right there, right? But I don't know until I do all those, right, that research and those conversations, because I think too, moving forward and having those cards, I will be coming to the table quite a bit of the time in that, so that it'll also help me to compound some of the lessons for myself, some of my perspectives, and even refining those perspectives, or possibly even having those perspectives questioned and changing them. And I'm welcome to that too, because the only way that it would change is if I changed. And that's always a good thing, because I only change for the better. I'm not changing for the worse. We're going forward. We're not going backwards in any way. Oh, too, you've done that too, Kathy, with the worms and stuff. Yeah, I've been doing it. It's just that sadness, because without your help, and that they're not going to have a chance of surviving. They're not going to be able to, have babies and pass their line down the road. They won't be able to evolve in their evolution, right? If their evolution is like a 20-foot anaconda or something, right? Then maybe I might have thought twice about saving the worm, but probably not. I'm always a mover in the moment, right? Like I said, I took 1 foot ahead of me, going, not another one. I gotta get to work, and I just couldn't do it. I didn't even have the foot down, and I was already spinning around to save another worm. So that's how I go, and it's just automatic. It's just automatic these days. Hmm. Yeah, but yeah, so the trip is coming along good. The cards are moving along, and I suspect as we move along they're going to change. But even in the writings, I didn't know, right? I thought, oh, maybe I'll do famous quotes, on this word change. Then maybe I'll get this perspective of change from the Dalai Lama, or right, or Gandhi, or so many great thought leaders out in the world, past and president and present. And I thought that maybe, because I do take their lessons out of a kind of gratitude or respectfulness, to use their quotes. And I thought, for copyright reasons, and because these are my powerful words, that they should be my powerful thoughts and my powerful perspectives in taking in those lessons to start with. They should be my thoughts. And then after they're ready to go, I will constantly, right, just like my angel cards, will pick a card periodically. But I'm optimistic, but that by that time, that we will be more consistently, permanently, maybe not permanently, but more often than we have, be on the outside, be out on those outdoor adventures, right? Those rewards, that reward, right? Yeah. I am a YouTuber, and I am looking forward to my adventure in September. But that's only 2 weeks, right? I want my whole life to be an adventure. And I don't want to be that what do you call that, instigator of my own self-sabotaging, of throwing that wrench into my own life and not giving myself that consideration. You know what I mean? That I would like to have more adventures and have more change come into my life, have more experiences. And I suspect that we are moving towards that, right? I am going to take a lot more footage this time on my trip, especially now that I have the wireless microphone too. So that's going to cut out on a lot of that background noise. But because I do love Mother Nature, I've never been a unfan of the wind noises and stuff. I just look at it as ASMR, ASMR, or I look at it as Mother Nature, because just as much as the wind comes through, it's so is the rustling of the trees and the chirping of the birds and the squeals of the squirrels, and right, the grizzly bears crunching through the forest. Right? Yeah. So again, like I said, I am looking forward to this trip, and it's taken away, those moments when I do feel heavy, that I could be sitting here and going, "Oh, it's so hot, I can't bear it. I don't have an air conditioner." I'm not giving it any thought. I'm just using it as an example because it came into my mind in that moment. But I have thought that way. I thought today, oh, my poor cat, when I was at work. I said, my poor cat, she's right. She's laying on the floor, the cold floor, instead of, laying up in the bed in the air conditioning, or laying in her pet bed in the air conditioning, right? She's right. She's an older cat now too. So this floor is hard on my feet. I don't walk on it without my slippers on, and I don't want her laying on it and right, wrecking her bones, or giving her issues along the way. So I'll make sure payday, right? We're just going to cough up the money. We're going to get that air conditioner, and I'll take better care of it. I'll make sure that I don't plug anything else into that cord, right? I think the cord went the way it did because the air conditioner wasn't getting enough airflow. And I was very consistent in making sure the screen was clean and everything. But when I opened up the air conditioner, yes, I did. I spent a couple hours after work because I was trying to save money, and there was a cord at work on another air conditioner that I thought, if I can figure out how to get this one on and I take some pictures, I'll be able to put that one that I was going to buy because it was only $60. Then I'll be able to put it on. But soon it took us like an hour to get the case off of the other one at work, and then when I looked inside, the wires were all encased too, and I wasn't going to go through the trouble of right getting through safe one number one and then getting into safe number two, which was actually safe number three, because the first one I had done was open up this one to get the old one that I had burnt out done. So this one works perfectly good. It's just the cord is fried, and I don't know where to get another cord for this air conditioner, but it was such a good oh my goodness, I had no complaints on it. But when I took the back off of this air conditioner to try and retrieve the cord, what I thought was a fabric screen to keep out the dust was actually a dust bunny. Yeah, it wasn't a screen at all. I took the top off, and it was about this thick. in my air conditioner, and I peeled the whole thing off the back of the air conditioner. And there was no way of getting that thing off that screen inside without taking the air conditioner apart. And I would never have taken the air conditioner apart for any reasons. The screens and stuff are supposed to be able to just come off all on their own. That's how I figured it. But inside, when I took it off, oh yeah, I took my sanitizer and washed all the inside, the moisture, and right, made sure it was all spick and span and all ready for its new cord. And the new cord wasn't good enough cord, so I got a perfectly good air conditioner here that's going to go out to the garbage. I'm not going to do it in the rain. I'm going to wait until the rain is done. It might be a couple of days, right? Then I'll take it outside and I'll just leave a note on it, say, beautiful air conditioner, just needs a cord, right? And maybe somebody who's a handyman will need a good air conditioner because it was a good air conditioner, and right, repair it and have myself one, and I'll reinvest in a new air conditioner for myself, which will be super enjoyable. It wasn't really needed until it was needed. But that was, you guys, I should tell you, I have to make a sacrifice for getting that air conditioner because the house bills have got to be paid, because I'm paying a little bit more on my house bills every month, so that, when I go on my trip, I don't have to pay my house bills that month, because I'll be ahead a month in my house bills, right? So I want to be able to, right? Last year I ran out of money on the last day, so I had to leave a day early from my trip. This time I just want to, right, just be good to go for whatever I do or whatever I want. I'm not going to deny myself anything that I get that mindset to say, okay, let's do this, or let's buy this, right? Let's go on this hunt. But today, or wasn't today, it was on payday. I had budgeted to make sure that I paid for that Mohawk Herkimer mine, that expedition, because that one with taxes, going to assume is going to be, I think, $175, but that's for the membership for the year. So if I want to go back, I can go back as much as I want. But also, which is great if you live in New York, but I don't live in New York, so probably a once a year kind of thing. And then also, what was I going to say in that? I'll be able to camp there for 2 days, right? Out in some farmer's field, or maybe up in the mountains. Maybe he'll let me camp up in the mountains. Oh, that would be so amazing if I asked him if I could camp up there, if I could spend the night up there and take my stuff with me. But it's going to be a great trip. I am super excited about it. And I think I'm planning it. I'm planning it pretty good, right? And like I said, in March, I'm hoping to do a trip with my sister and one of my friends from BC, who lives in BC now. She was one of my friends, best friends here in Winnipeg, going way, way back. But she got married and she moved off to BC. But her name is Crystal, and she loves crystals. So I thought I would invite her on this trip because she's my sister Alice's, who I'm also want to invite on this trip. I want to make sure that her best friend is on the trip too. So we're going to do the Grand Canyon. We're going to go digging for crystals. We're going to go to Arizona. They might want to go to Vegas. I don't gamble. I'll find something else to do. I don't even want to stand behind them and watch. I don't want to be enticed that way. Oh, you guys, remember what I said about all those gambling shows that were being suggested to me, and I was getting hooked on watching those people that sit at the casinos and play slot machines, and it's kind of like virtual reality, like you're the customer and you're putting your money in there. And I got hooked on those. Well, it worked. I have not been suggested one of those videos, I think, for 3 weeks now. right? I just said not interested, right? Not interested. Don't suggest to me. And it worked. And YouTube's not suggesting that to me. And that's the way, you kind of get enticed back into those things that we used to calm our systems down, right? Because as much as gambling destroyed my life, it was a form of escaping for me. It was a form of escaping the sadness. It was a form of me being able to feel like I was around people because they were like in bars and casinos and nightclubs and stuff, that when in all actuality it was just between me and the machine. But people would still come up to me and small talk, and I would be polite, but in my mind I was going, go way in the middle of winning a jackpot and you're going to win a big one, right? But I just wanted you guys to know, if there's something being suggested to you in your YouTube feed, those three dots in the top right hand side of each thumbnail has an option for you to say, please don't suggest this to me. I'm not interested in that. There's a few things, right? Don't do it to mine. Right? But it does give you those options so that you're not bothered by it, right? Yeah, so I just wanted you guys to know that. Oh my goodness, I'll turn my speakers down on that. Okay. mm, Tastes so good, my coffee. I'm so glad for my days off, right? They were long weekends because I don't know why. Maybe it was the rain, maybe it was the heat, maybe it was just I don't know. Customers seemed to be happy and they were so kind, right? I had a Hutterite lady come in and she baked me a carrot cake with cream cheese, icing, and coconut. She's such a sweet lady. She made me a pair of slippers. And then this week she brought me in she made jam busters, those two cookies, and then you put the jam in between the sugar cookies. She made me a package of those, and of course I share them with the people that I work with, right? And then what else? So many nice little things. I had people come up to the counter and said, I just wanted to tell you I had the most enjoyable time walking around your store and listening to you interact with your customers. And it just, right, I was having not a super bad day, but I wasn't having a great day. I was just getting through the day and whistling while I work, trying to have the best kind of day that I possibly could, or at the very least made sure that my customers were having the best day that they possibly could. And she wasn't the only one who recognized it this weekend, and it was very noticeable in my showing up to that compliment, that bit of, oh my goodness, right, thank you so much, that was just what I needed. That's what I just needed to hear. And I said that too because it was true. I did need to hear. The compliments are not thrown out as much. When you're empathic and you're highly sensitive, you're always saying your please, your thank yous, your excuse me's, can I help you, right? But we don't expect that it's going to be reciprocated in kind, right? So when it does happen, right, it is a big deal. And not only is it a big deal, it's a big deal in the recognition, right? Like, you know what, Cindy? Yeah, right. You did it. Like, it wasn't a great week, right? You're all pooped. You're looking forward to your days off, but look at that. Look at the compliments that you got. Look at the job. You got the job done anyway. I'm right. I didn't really put the extra in that I do when I'm taking the pride of the shifts, taking control over the shifts, that I wanted to make sure that in paying that respect, that I wasn't demeaning myself in any way, that right, I was actually quite pleasant, right? And I was that team player today. I really was. But so was everybody else. And like I said, sometimes when you catch a whiff of things, we let our imaginations make those whiffs a lot stinkier than what they have to be, right? But in saying that too, quite often we'll jump on things and we'll think they're beautiful and amazing and useful and a miracle in the instant because they alleviate some kind of suffering or struggle or pain that we have going on, whether it's emotional, physical, right, financial, mental, right? That if it has that, then right, we're all over it. Let me come down here. Yeah, I wish. I was thinking, and I say I wish, and I was thinking though, and it's true, I was thinking that how amazing it would be to have my own land, just like this farm, this Mohawk Herkimer mine that's family owned and family run. I mean, even their home is there, right? That if I had something like that, what an amazing retreat, what an amazing holiday that I could create for people. You know what I mean? Like to have maybe some little cabins or little cottages and by a lake where people can dig for crystals, all kinds of neat crystals. Maybe I'll have a couple of quads and I can drive them up into the mountains. And I thought, Cindy, you can do that. If you want to do that, you can do that. You just have to start moving towards that. And I said, how about, right? We use this consideration because we are going to be in that area. We are going to be going to these northern small towns and these old mines, and there is a lot of unorganized land out there. When I say unorganized, I mean where you can buy land and you can do whatever you want with it. You don't have to have inspectors when it comes to building your house. If you want to make your house out of mud, you can make it out of mud. You can make it out of whatever you want. You can just buy the land and put a tent there. I don't think you would want to, because I'm assuming northern Ontario gets pretty cold in the winter too. But right, it gives you an opportunity to have some of these ideas come across your path to give consideration, and even having that thought come across my mind. Well, if you want it, Cindy, right? You just have to start moving towards that. So why not just consider it house hunting season when I'm out there, just to keep my eyes open to the towns and the area, and if there's work out there, whether it's online or offline, like I do now, or a combination of the both, like I do now, that I actually, this trip, I can say, is just the trip to feel out the neighborhood, right? So that's what I'm doing, right? If I want that, I can have that. But how do I know if I really want that? It's an idea. I really want to feel it. I want to touch it and feel it and read into it and see what serendipities and what things come across my path, what opportunities, what kind of conversations come across my path. How does it make me feel? Does it make me feel exciting? Does it make me feel afraid, and or is it just maybe something, a little bit of a push, a little bit of a talking to, a little bit of a you can do it, that gets me moving right in that direction? Well, why don't we just say now that we're moving in that direction, and we'll just see where it leads us, right? And that's kind of like just letting it go. We're doing it anyway. We're going there anyway. So let's just see what plays out in that adventure, right? Hmm. And if you guys are Herkimer, I'm going to be in Herkimer. I don't know the dates, like I said, because I've been looking at the campgrounds. I've been looking at the routes possibly that I would like to take. I think I'm pretty close. And I'm also taking into consideration that there are a few more things that I would like to accomplish in this trip. And like I said, I want to make sure that I'm not in a time constraint, that I have all the time I want. And I'm going to take that vehicle for a couple of weeks. And if the trip lasts 10 days, amazing. I'm good with 10 days, and I'll take the last 4 days to visit my sister, go to the park, or maybe go camping here at home. We have some beautiful campgrounds here too. I haven't been to Black Lake, right? Where it all started, right? And it all started with a video audition for Big Brother Canada. And here I am having conversations every Sunday and hanging out with you guys, right? Next week we have a show and tell on next Sunday. I'm not sure if it's going to be really big at all. It's not very expensive. Uh, Small doodads. I don't know. Maybe there's a whole bunch of small doodads, but I kind of took a look in the bin today just to make sure that everything in the bin that I did want, because now I got an air conditioner I've got to buy. That was kind of not the plan. I had a wrench get thrown into the engine, right? Unexpected, but you know, in the old days, like I was saying on my Instagram on Friday, is it Friday? No, Instagram on Saturday. Like I was saying yesterday on Instagram, that that well, I just lost track about what I was just going to say there. Oh my goodness, did I truly lose track of that, or is it gonna come back? Remind me, what was I talking about there, Andrew? What was the sentence just before I trailed away? I just need a jump start and I'll be right on. I'll be right on. I'll be right on track. I know Andrew will shoot it. Will shoot it at me. But I am grateful for my days off, and I'm grateful. You were talking about show and tell. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, I don't know how much I have for a show and tell on Sunday, but like I said, I didn't know the air conditioner was going to be part of the plan this payday, and it's very, very important. It's very important because I am a good sleeper, and I like that air conditioner nice and cold when I'm sleeping. I'm very, very comfortable. I'm noticing I'm kicking off the blankets, and the fans aren't quite enough, and I've got the window open because of the rain, hoping to cool off the apartment a little bit. But there's not really any wind out there right now. But also at the same time, it went to like 24 degrees this afternoon. So there's a lot of humidity in the air too. So now with the windows open, it's in here, and you can feel it in your clothes. And I suspect that when I go to bed tonight, that I will notice it too. But it's my day off, and I get 3 days off. I picked up an extra shift last week, but I have all 3 days off this week, so I'm going to do a little bit of relaxing. It's my sister's birthday on Tuesday, so I'm going to give her a call tomorrow. They did want to go out for breakfast, but I am on a budget. But this is my sister too, so we'll see how everything plays out. Maybe I can, right, do something kind for her on payday rather then on her birthday on Tuesday. I don't know. We'll make that conversation. We'll play that out as need be. Like I said, she is my sister, and however they want to celebrate, I guess I'm in too, right? Right? I move with kindnesses in my own steam, right? But I have to understand a lot of the kindnesses that come to me, right? They come from this small group called my family, right? And we might dig into each other a little bit now and then, but we are family, right? There is that saying, never deny your own, because in the end, that's all you've got. I come to have a better understanding of that saying. It was one of um, it was a saying that was really hit home for me, but I always related it to my family because my family always took care of me. They always cleaned up the mess for me. They always jumped in and happily, gratefully, excitedly want to help me out, take control of a bad situation and help me clear it, right? And my sisters were absolutely amazing at that. And, when I heard that saying for the first time, it takes all kinds to make the world, I automatically thought of my sisters. But I look at my family right now. Each one of us is so different from the others. Me and Alice, we have the commonality of we both love thrifting. We both like the antiques, and right, we like doing that game. Um, uh, but other than that, we are so different. But each one of us played a role in that family. So when I say, you know, that never deny your own, because in the end, that's all you've got. I thought that's all I've got. And that term, never deny your own. Like I said, every single one of my sisters, every single member of my family was their own person and very, very different from each of us. I mean, we got Jehovah Witnesses, we got Christians. My youngest sister is like baby Buddha who just sits in her kitchen chair staring off into space. She's so sweet, right? But she has the answer to absolutely anything. So if you had a question and asked her, she would give you that answer immediately without even hesitation, the perfect answer. But if you asked her that same question, like the next second, she would have no idea about what you're talking about. If you said, "Oh, can you repeat that?" She go, "Huh?" Right? And then my nephew, he does the Islam. Islam, is that what you call it? He hangs in that network with a lot of Middle Eastern people, and I love the Middle Eastern, the people from Iran and Afghanistan that I've gotten to meet and got to know over the years. But my nephew, he really takes it really serious, like to the point of the Quran and stuff. Like he even reads those and stuff, and he actually works for somebody who's from the Middle East, and they've been kind of giving him mentorship and stuff. So he's very different. And then I have another niece who's very, very spiritual that way. And then I have another niece who, I don't know, she's very different. She's with the intellectuals, I think. I think she's analytical. I think she's going to be analytical. She's very good. She catches on to things, and she learns through visualizing other people's mistakes, so she doesn't fall into those trenches and stuff. So yeah, my niece Ashley's super smart that way. She's going to do very, very well for herself. But like you could say, like we're all very different. So when you say it's never deny your own, well, who are your own, right? Who are your own? Because not really any of those characters in my family are like me. in any way except for those small interests that through our nurturing, we were natured, right? Right, we were taught, and so some of those interests we do have in common, but nothing serious, nothing so solid that would say, oh my goodness, right, we are solid, we are good, right, that we all think the same, we all act the same, we all live the same. That's not the case in any way. Each one of us is different. So when you say something like that, right, you have to recognize it, right? That group could be outside of your own family, but only you are going to recognize them because we never usually let all of ourselves come to the surface. So you're the only person who has that familiarity with what you're drawn to, right? Is it dry there, Owen? Oh, I can imagine, especially when you're around those all those lakes too, Andrew. There's a lot of lakes and stuff around where you live. So I'm assuming that there is going to be, especially the Great Lakes aren't even that far from you, are they? I can only assume it's only going to be a few hours to Lake Michigan, or right? It's not going to be too far. I am looking forward, even because when I go home through the states, I'll be skimming the highways, along the highways, and I will be visiting those beaches of Lake Huron, and I'll be going to the Grand uh, what is it, Niagara Falls, and I will be going to Lake Michigan, right? I will be doing Detroit, and I'm not quite sure if I'm going to come up through Fargo, or if I'm going to come up through Buffalo Point. Buffalo Point. I think Buffalo Point would be very heartwarming for me because it's one of my favorite areas on the entire Manitoba. Is that corner of the province, the southeastern part of the province? They get wicked storms there. Maybe that's got something to do with it because you guys all know that I love the wild weather. But I think it would be a nice drive home to come out through Buffalo Point, and that just means coming off the main, what do you call, interstate, right? And I don't think I want to take the interstate home because even though it's really, really fast, I'm not in a rush, and I don't want to feel like I'm on a rush. I really want to take in the views. So I think I'm going to probably do some of those side highways. And today I just crossed over in my itinerary, in my planning. I just crossed over through Hamilton. I was looking at some campgrounds in Canada's side to camp the night before I crossed the border. But I said, why? If I'm going to be in Toronto anyway, and it's only a few hours to Herkimer, oh my goodness, just go to Herkimer already. Just drive straight through, right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm entering into the states in the planning. I know going home west, that north in the northern part of the United States, there are lots of indigenous reserves. A lot of the national parks and stuff are under the stewardship of the indigenous tribes. So I'm not quite sure and familiar with the protocols in right, I'm very good, right, you let me on your highway, I'm going to be stopping at the pit stops, and I will be cleaning the restaurants. I'll be cleaning all the garbage and everything out of those restaurants. I'm usually pretty good when it comes to taking care of the environment, right? But I just don't know the protocol, if they would allow us to, if it's crown land, or if they would allow me to camp there, or if they have their own campgrounds or stuff, or if I'm going to have to change route, or if it's going to be bothersome in any way. Right, we don't have those issues here in Canada too often, so I suspect, right, there'll be welcoming in my customership because I am a traveling customer in the end, won't I? I'll have a few funds to burn, and not just burn in Canada, but we'll be burning them in the States too. Oh my goodness, I get to have a mallow bar. Do you guys know I have been just waiting to get back into the States just so I could have a mallow bar. Oh my goodness, I had one last time I was in the States and I absolutely just loved it. So yeah, lots of stuff to look forward to. Um, this morning there was rain here, but the humidity level was 99%. Oh my goodness, I don't know if I could handle that, right? Right. My sister's always saying, "Oh, you should come to Mexico with us, Cindy." And I said, "Oh, that dry heat, I'm not sure about that, you know. I like it nice and cold. I like it to the point where I can put a jacket on. It's why I picked the month. I picked the month that I go on my vacation every year. I go on a vacation in September. I was going to do Arizona, but it's summertime in September in Arizona. So I can't do that. But in March, hopefully, me, my sister, and my good friend Crystal from BC, we will take a little week-long trip or 10-day trip to uh, Utah, Montana, blueberry crystals, garnets, tourmaline, selenite, amethyst, smoky quartz, right? All kinds of amazing rocks and crystals. A lot of fun to be had. If they want to go to Vegas, we'll go to Vegas. It's along the way. We're going to do the Grand Canyon. That's along the way. I want to do the petrified forest for the opalized wood. I know I can't go to the national park, but there are lots of farms around there that will allow you, if you pay a small fee or a donation, that they will allow you to go and hang out on their farm and dig for the opalized wood. How exciting is that? I have a little bit of opalized wood, or not opalized wood. I have a little bit of petrified wood, but I don't have opalized, and that would be pretty cool. Okay, you guys, that's my good cheer for tonight. My day off tomorrow. Probably won't sleep in, not with the heat. I've been up all weekend. But at the same time, right, I will get a little bit of movement done. And whether that movement is actually spending a little bit of time outside or if it's, right, just enjoying content, or maybe maybe I'll watch a movie. I got a couple of new movies, you guys. Look what I got. I want to watch Wally. I want to watch Wally this week. And I've got a few movies here that I want to watch that I haven't watched yet. And on a dark, dreary, rainy day, that would be kind of nice to do, is maybe have a movie day. Maybe I'll even make some popcorn for my movie. Maybe that's a plan. Do my laundry and just watch a movie and just enjoy my day. Right? Okay, you guys. That's it for tonight. We'll see you when Sunday for show and tell. It's going to be fun, you guys. I don't know what I got, but I got a few nice things. And then I'll be back. We'll be picking our 42nd word. 42nd word. We'll pick our 42nd word on Monday, powerful word, and we'll work all week on that word. And then Saturday, Instagram, right? Routine. I like routine. I do. It keeps my life simplified. There's a lot of things that I don't have to worry about because things are on routine, right? Okay, you guys. Thank you, everyone. See you next week.